The Warriors have just released their 2026 home and away jerseys coming up next year with a host of training and other clothing products from Dynasty. Just last night they had the launch, and we're going to break it down for you tonight. Give you what I think about um, what they've provided, what they've changed, how it looks. Do I think it's worth the money? Is it worth your investment? We're going to break that one down for you right now. But please, before we start, hit that like and subscribe. And just quickly note, I'm not a massive gear guy. I'd love to have every Warriors shirt in its history. There are guys out there that know the history, know the products very well, have a good opinion on it. But I'm going to share my view from a fan, but also just a person that not heaps of money. So I'm going to have to pick and choose what I would like from this range, and I'll give you some suggestions on my thoughts on it. But I really like some of the developments out of it. Let's start with the home jersey. I really like the pattern here. The chevron makes sense. I love the detail in the actual player's jersey there. As you can see, the spacing between the red and the greens and the blues kind of gives it a bit of a open look, makes the chest, I'd say, pop a little bit wider. And then for me, the key here is extending that chevron out to the arms. And especially, it really looks really nice. It looks nice on the players. I wonder if in person it looks good in terms of makes the arms stand out a bit. And what I mean by that is just as a a fat middle-aged man, I want to still look good in a Warriors jersey. I don't want to look puffy. I don't want to look um, like it accentuates my fat stomach and that. But I'm wondering, if you wear it, does it make, because of those chevrons go across the body, across the arms, does it make it look nice on your shoulders and your arms, and just give it a nice appeal? It would be really good to try and buy one, actually try one and try wear one. But so far, it looks really, really good. I love the player jerseys with the red numbers. I saw they done that last year. I think was it the Anzac Test jerseys. I can't really remember. But I love that layer that they're adding to that. That goes a throwback. I even think back to the early days that had red numbers at some point. But it's a solid jersey. It doesn't go far away from the 2025. And let's just break that down quickly. If you go side by side, the details, obviously the 2024, the 20 and 25 jersey, the red collar. I do love a red collar, but I love the blue on this. It kind of keeps it simple, keeps it flowing across the top from the neck to the shoulders. That white GWM, didn't kind of like that, and I love that it's just a clear blue now on the 2026. Green NRL badge, and I think it's a green Warriors badge in terms of the writing. So slight differences there. Um, Ultimate color scheme is probably very similar. I'm wondering if that's just the pictures, but it does look like a darker blue, which I don't mind. I love deep blues and bright blues, specifically with the Warriors. Different length on the arms, which I think looks really effective on the 2026, much more so than the 25. The bottom is essentially the same, obviously, with the 1NZ and the massive logo. Again, I've said before that I'm not a big fan of the logo, but I suppose I'm getting used to it. Your eyes get used to things over time. But it goes back to the chevrons extending to the arms, which is the separator for me. I've never been a massive fan of the Warriors where they only go to this part of the thing. Even chevrons and Kiwis jerseys and other clubs where it falls there, it just feels wrong. I'd love to see them extend over. That's what I loved about the 95 away jersey. Any of the Warriors ones where they extend that chevron and a kind of a curvier, kind of a quarter shape over. I've always loved that. That's why I love the 95 away. I love that it's kind of a actual, symmetrical diagonal lines on this jersey, and I think it's very effective. I think it pops out. It's not too much of a change, but I'd be interested to see what you guys say about it. Is that the type of changes you wanted? It does, it wasn't massive changes. One thing I would say is it kind of hints that they kind of tried this model a little bit. If you look at the 2024, 2025 women's NRLW team. I like that pattern, and it's got a similar shape in terms of the chevrons going in kind of a symmetrical shape, not so much a curvy shape. So let me know what you guys think about that. But ultimately, I think they hit the nail on the head, in specific with the yeah, and it didn't need too much. Like, they don't need panels down the sides. You don't have to overcomplicate the jersey. Keep it as simple as possible, and I think it works really well. The next one is the away jersey. I'm a big fan of away jerseys personally. I love the white, blue, red, and green. I'm not always a fan of the blue jerseys with the red and green on it, but I think they nail this one here as well. Again, extending the chevrons to the arms, taking that pattern out. I like the balance there. It looks like it's blue badges with the NRL and the Warriors one. A bit more balance there. The probably one NZ fits this a little bit better. And again, I like the sleeves on the arms. And on the players, it looks fantastic. GWN white, obviously, because it's a white shirt in the middle. Not overcomplicating it, just tidying it up. That's definitely a shirt I'd be interested in buying. Looks great on Lecker from a side angle there as well. Everything looks very, very tidy. So I'd say one of the better ones personally. And I'm just going to quickly compare it in a similar sense to the Heritage 2023. As you can see, the Heritage 2023 only goes up to the shoulder and doesn't drop into the arm. And that's what I'm saying. I actually enjoy this 2026 range. It extends to the arm. I didn't actually mind the 2025 away jersey. It kind of gave me a bit of a Knights vibe, but I do like the patterns. It looked good on TV. But I think that this one will pop quite well. But you can sort of see, I like the intent with the arms. Keep that little sleeve thinner. It makes it feel much more muscular, I'd say. But I mean, Dynasty overall, with most of the away stuff, it looks good. But that specific design harkens back to the Heritage. It links back nicely, in my opinion. So I'm pretty happy with that. Let me know what you guys think. Are you happy with what Dynasty's doing? Personally, I think it's fantastic. The work they've done across the board with the Kiwis, the Tongans, Samoan, is really good quality stuff. But this is like kind of the third year now of seeing Dynasty. Do you see a development, a growth in what they're doing? Or are they? Is it simplifying? Is it minimalist? And do you mind that? Would you like to kind of go back to the black and greys era? I know a lot of fans love that style, especially me, the O2s, the O3s. And there's some varieties we're going to go through soon, but the club is staying solid to the retro colors. We kind of had that period where we were black and white and grey all through kind of the 2010s era, but they've stuck solid to blue, red, and green. Are you guys happy with it? So be interested to see what you guys think. Then you've got the apparel. Personally, I'm not a big fan of this light blue color. Anything Warriors, especially if you're going to go with the blue, red, and greens, I like the deep blues and I like the deep green colors and the deep reds. I'm a traditionalist in terms of when you're using that color palette. They've gone with kind of a lighter blue, and it kind of gives me a bit Newcastle vibes here. The block letter heads, I think it is. I think it's nothing too crazy, should we say? It's kind of stock standard. I think a lot of other clubs and brands do that kind of lettering style. It doesn't speak anything kind of, wow, that really blew my socks off. But then again, it doesn't have to be like that. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the light blues, and I'm not, I'm not a fan of that kind of faded light blue and light green. But then again, it does look pretty good on the players, and again, not everything is for what I think is good. Not everything is, it might look good on some other people too. But it's, I suppose, giving people options. Maybe you look at the Dynasty range as just over 3 years, all different varieties. And it doesn't matter if you buy the 26, 25, or 24. It's up to you, and maybe they're just kind of adding that layer to it. The shirts, yeah, just not for me. The hoodies with that interior kind of turquoise green in there, with the light blue paneling, I probably wouldn't get that. Yeah, the hats don't really do it for me either. But to each his own. It is kind of like, everyone has their different style. Everyone can see that wearing that in their own unique way. So to each their own. More interesting, I'd say, like, what are some of the jerseys that are going to be coming out in the next couple of months? This one right here with Chanel's ring is kind of a harken back. And guys, if you are a jersey head in the chat, correct me. I think it's kind of a 2000, 2001 maybe, when we wore the all blue. With, again, that traditional NZ Warriors DB Bitter lettering. Looks really nice and clean. Definitely one I would probably get. Yeah, that is nice, isn't it? All the retros they've done, specifically like the Kiwis heritage stuff. I want to get me even a Kiwis retro that they did this year. They do very well in kind of nailing all those elements of the retro jerseys. Red collar and blue with that red around the bottom of the arms. It looks fantastic. So, is that the heritage jersey, or is there a heritage jersey coming out? Is there an indigenous jersey? There's a collab. We had the Dear Warrior with our man Louis Brown. There was also the Pacifica jersey. There's tons of jerseys, and it's probably one thing I've been critical of over the years, especially when the Warriors were doing poorly. Is like, mate, they got more jerseys than trophies, and I think was that I forgot who made that comment. Those in the chat will tell me. I think it's a Jazz Tavanga. And especially when that time when we were losing Jazz, I think it might have been 22, I think. We got more jerseys and trophies. And sometimes as a fan, I feel like that. We're really asking this fan base to go out and spend their hard-earned money, $170 for these jerseys, that's a lot of money, man. For me personally, if it was around the $100 to $120, mate, I'd buy more jerseys. I'd buy more products. But, sometimes I feel it's a bit excessive, but then again, some of the designs are really, really cool. So, for depending on your fandom and how much you love the Warriors and the way you show your love, there's multitudes of options. I'm not sure on the rules, and again, guys, I'm not a massive gear head, but let me know what it is. If we are allowed to have a heritage jersey, sometimes you're not allowed to have a heritage jersey every year. Sometimes you're not allowed to have an indigenous every year or collab So there's a lot of options, I would say. But I'm really interested to see what they come up with. Dynasty for me overall, much better than Puma. Canterbury, you can maybe argue, or some of the, but each to their own and each to their era. People love the old school Canterbury, all those eras, the fire jerseys, the Tani Mahuta, the flannel, and it kind of symbolizes that era. Let me know what you guys think. Which era did you like the most? But then again, I look at some of this stuff and it looks really, really good on some of the players. This for a training set, and again, they're athletes. But Bishop Neal on there, the colorway is actually really, really cool from a training perspective. So for each person, it's dependent on how they want it. For me, I'm looking forward to a few of the jerseys. That one in particular that CHT is wearing, I would definitely put my money into that. But I think overall Dynasty are delivering, are providing what people want to see. They're in touch with what the fan base wants. And specifically these home and away jerseys, they've kind of minimalized and simplified and haven't gone too far away. If you look at it in reality, they just made the chevrons straight, extended to the arms, and that's pretty much it. But that is powerful and effective enough to be a nice change that people want to buy. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think. I'm thinking personally, I might try the away jersey. I might go in and buy that. I might even be tempted to buy the home. As for the training gear and other apparel, not so much, apart from that blue one that Chanel was wearing. Let me know what you think, guys, and we'll catch you next time. Please hit that like and subscribe to Wires Up TV for your Warriors coverage and content. Peace.